I was sitting at my desk, staring at 3 words on my phone screen that made my entire world collapse.
I'm your father. The message came from a stranger, a man I'd never met, a man who, according to my mother, had been dead for 23 years. But he wasn't dead. He was very much alive. And everything my mother ever told me was a lie. My name is Sarah, and for my entire life, I believed my father died in a car accident 2 weeks before I was born. That's what my mom told me. That's what she told everyone. She kept his picture on her nightstand, a handsome man with kind eyes and a warm smile. She'd cry sometimes when she looked at it, especially around my birthday or holidays. I'd find her sitting on her bed, holding that photograph, tears streaming down her face. I miss him so much, sweetheart, she'd whisper. He would have loved you so much. I grew up carrying that weight. The sadness of never knowing my father. The guilt that somehow my existence was tied to his death, that if I hadn't been coming into the world, maybe he wouldn't have been driving that night. My mom never remarried. She said she couldn't, that my father was the love of her life, and no one could ever replace him. I thought she was the strongest woman in the world. I thought she was a devoted widow who sacrificed everything to raise me alone. I thought she was a hero. I was wrong about all of it. It started 3 weeks ago, on my 23rd birthday. I was living in my own apartment by then, working as a graphic designer in Seattle. My mom still lived in our hometown in Oregon, about 3 hours away. We talked regularly, at least twice a week. We were close, or so I thought. That morning, she called to wish me happy birthday, her voice bright and cheerful. 23, baby girl. I can't believe it. You're so grown up now. Thanks, Mom. I'm just glad it's Friday. Emma's taking me out tonight. Good, good. You deserve to celebrate. I sent you something, should arrive today. You didn't have to do that. Of course I did. You're my baby. We chatted for a few more minutes before hanging up. It was a normal conversation.
Sweet.
Loving. Nothing seemed wrong. That afternoon, I was finishing up some design work when my phone buzzed with a message notification. Unknown number. I almost deleted it, thinking it was spam, but something made me click. The message read, "Happy birthday, Sarah. I know this will sound impossible, but I'm your father. My name is Michael Chun. I've been looking for you for a very long time." My stomach dropped. My hands started shaking. This had to be some sick joke. Some scammer who somehow knew my birthday and my dad's name from an obituary or something. I typed back, "This isn't funny. My father is dead." The response came within seconds. "That's what your mother told you. It's not true. I never died, Sarah. I never even knew you existed until 6 months ago." I couldn't breathe. My chest felt tight, like someone was squeezing my lungs. This person, whoever they were, had to be lying. My mom wouldn't lie about something like that. She couldn't. I'd seen her grief. I'd watched her cry over my father's memory for years. I wrote back, "You need to stop messaging me. I don't know who you are, but this is sick. I understand you don't believe me. I wouldn't either, but I can prove it. Check your email. I'm sending you documents, my driver's license, birth certificate, photos from before you were born. Your mother and I were together for 3 years. We broke up when she found out she was pregnant." "That's a lie. You died in a car accident." "There was no car accident, Sarah. She left me. She moved away and told me she never wanted to see me again. I tried to find her, but she changed her phone number, moved states, cut off all our mutual friends. I had no idea she was pregnant. No idea you existed." My hands were trembling so badly, I could barely hold my phone. I opened my email. There were 5 attachments. The first was a driver's license. Michael Chun, age 47, living in Sacramento, California. The second was a birth certificate matching the name and date. The third was a photo, and my heart nearly stopped. It was my mother. Younger, maybe 24 or 25. She was standing next to a man who looked exactly like the picture on her nightstand. They had their arms around each other. They were smiling. They looked happy. But this wasn't some formal portrait. This was a casual photo, taken at what looked like a park. My mom was wearing jeans and a tank top. The man, Michael, was in a t-shirt and shorts. This wasn't the memorial photo. This was a real moment, a real relationship. The fourth photo showed them at a restaurant, leaning close together over dinner. The fifth was them kissing. I felt like I was going to throw up. I called my best friend Emma immediately. Sarah? What's wrong? You sound. Emma, I just got a message from someone claiming to be my dad. Silence. Your dad who died? He says he's not dead. He says my mom lied. He sent me photos, Emma. Photos of him and my mom together before I was born. They look real. Oh my God. What are you going to do? I don't know. I can't even think right now. Do you believe him? I looked at the photos again. At my mother's smile. At the way she looked at this man. I don't know what to believe anymore. I didn't sleep that night. I went through every possible explanation. Maybe this Michael person had somehow faked these photos. Maybe he was a stalker or a scammer with an elaborate con. But the photos looked genuine. The details were too specific. And there was something about his messages. They felt real. Desperate. Honest. At 3 a.m, I sent him another message. If you're really my father, why did it take you 23 years to find me? His response came 10 minutes later. I've been searching for 12 years, ever since I had the resources to hire a private investigator. Your mother changed her name after we broke up, went back to her maiden name. You were born under that name. It took years to track you down. When I finally found you 6 months ago, I spent weeks trying to decide if I should reach out. I didn't want to destroy your life, but I couldn't let another birthday pass without you knowing the truth. I wrote back. Why did she leave you? We had a fight. She wanted to get married, and I told her I wasn't ready. I was 24, working 2 jobs, barely making rent. I asked her to wait a year. She said if I really loved her, I wouldn't make her wait. She left that night. 2 weeks later, I tried calling, and her number was disconnected. I went to her apartment. She'd moved out. I called her friends, her family. No one would tell me where she went. Then I got a letter from her saying it was over, that she needed a clean break, and I should never try to contact her again. She never told you she was pregnant? Never. I swear to you, Sarah. If I had known, I would have found a way. I would have done anything. I wanted to believe him. God, I wanted to believe him. But I needed more than photos and messages. I needed to confront my mother. The next morning, I drove to Oregon. I didn't call ahead. I didn't tell her I was coming. I just showed up at her door at noon on a Saturday, my heart pounding so hard I thought it might break through my ribs. She opened the door with a huge smile. Sarah, what a surprise. Why didn't you tell me you were? Is Dad alive? Her smile vanished. Her face went completely white. What? Sweetheart, what are you talking about? I got a message from someone claiming to be Michael Chen. My father. He says he's not dead. He says you lied to me. She grabbed the doorframe like she might fall. That's ridiculous. Someone is playing a horrible prank on you. Baby, your father died before you were born. You know that. Then explain these. I showed her the photos on my phone. She stared at them, and I watched every drop of color drain from her face. Where did you get these? Her voice was barely a whisper. From him. From Michael. He's alive, Mom. And he says you knew it. She started crying. Not the gentle, wistful tears I'd seen her cry over my dead father. These were panicked, desperate sobs. You don't understand, she choked out. You don't know what it was like. He didn't want us. He didn't want you. That's not what he says. He's lying. Then why did you tell me he was dead? Why not just say he left? Why make up a whole story about a car accident? She couldn't answer. She just kept crying, her hands shaking. I need to come inside, I said. And you need to tell me the truth. All of it. We sat in her living room, the same living room where I'd grown up, where she'd told me stories about my heroic father who died too young. She was still crying, but softer now. Defeated. I was so angry, she finally said. When I found out I was pregnant, I was terrified. I called him, and he said he needed time to think. Time? Like this was some business decision. I couldn't believe he didn't want to marry me immediately, didn't want to build a life together. So you left. I thought he'd come after me. I thought he'd realize what he was losing and beg me to come back. But he didn't. He just let me go. Because you told him to never contact you again. She looked up at me, shocked. He told you that? He showed me the letter. She closed her eyes. I was hurt. I was young and stupid and hurt. And when he actually listened, when he actually stayed away, I convinced myself he never cared at all. So, you decided to tell me he was dead. I didn't plan it. When you were little, you asked about your daddy. I said he was gone. You asked if he was in heaven, and I just said yes. It was easier than explaining that he chose not to be part of our lives. But he didn't choose that. You never told him I existed. I know. She was sobbing again. I know, and I'm sorry, but once I started the lie, I couldn't take it back. How could I? You were 5, 6, 7 years old, grieving a father you never met. How could I suddenly say, actually, he's alive. I just kept him from you? I stood up. I couldn't sit next to her anymore. Did he ever try to contact you after I was born? She hesitated. A few times. In the first couple years. What did you do? I didn't respond. Did he send anything? Letters? Gifts? Another hesitation. My blood went cold.
Mom.
Did he send me things? She wouldn't look at me. Mom. I threw them away, she whispered. The room started spinning. What did you throw away? Birthday cards. Christmas presents. Letters asking how you were, if you were healthy, if there was anything you needed. I thought I might be sick. How many? I don't know. Maybe a dozen over the first few years. Then they stopped. They stopped because he gave up. Because you never responded. He thought you didn't want his help. I thought I was protecting you. From what? From having a father who wanted to know me? From the man who rejected us. He didn't reject us. I was shouting now, years of grief and anger pouring out. You rejected him. You pushed him away and then lied to me for 23 years. She tried to reach for me, but I stepped back. Did you keep anything? I asked. Any of the letters? Any proof? She didn't answer. Mom. In the attic, she finally said. There's a box. I couldn't throw everything away. I went upstairs before she could stop me. The attic was dusty and crowded with old furniture and holiday decorations. But in the corner, I found a cardboard box labeled Michael. I opened it. Inside were dozens of envelopes. Birthday cards for ages 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Christmas cards. Letters written in neat handwriting, asking about me, begging my mother to let him be part of my life. One letter, dated when I was 3, said, I don't understand why you won't even send a photo. I just want to know she's okay. I just want to know my daughter. Please, Jennifer. Whatever I did to hurt you, I'm sorry. But don't punish our child for my mistakes. There were gifts, too. A stuffed rabbit. A children's book. A tiny silver bracelet with my name engraved on it. All of it hidden away like trash. I sat on the attic floor and cried. When I came back downstairs, my mother was still on the couch, her face buried in her hands. He tried, I said, my voice hollow. He tried so hard, and you threw it all away. I thought I was doing the right thing. No, you didn't. You were angry and petty, and you punished both of us because you didn't get your way. Sarah, please. I'm going to meet him. Her head snapped up. What? Michael. My father. I'm going to meet him. You can't. You don't even know him. And whose fault is that? She flinched. I'm taking the box, I said. All of it. The letters, the gifts. Everything you should have given me years ago. Sarah, don't do this.
Please.
I'm your mother. I raised you. I gave you everything. Except the truth. I left her house that day and didn't look back. I messaged Michael that night. I believe you. I found the letters. I'm sorry for what she did. His response came immediately. You have nothing to be sorry for. None of this is your fault.
Can we meet?
I'd really like to meet you if you're ready.
Yes.
I'd like that too. We met at a coffee shop in Portland 2 weeks later. I got there early and sat by the window, my hands shaking around my coffee cup. Then I saw him walking up the sidewalk. He looked just like his photos, just older. Gray at the temples now, lines around his eyes. He saw me through the window and stopped. For a moment, we just stared at each other. Then he smiled, tentative and nervous and full of hope, and my eyes filled with tears. He came inside and walked slowly to my table. Sarah? Hi, I managed. Hi. We both laughed, awkward and emotional. He sat down across from me, and I could see his hands were shaking too. I can't believe you're real, he said. I've imagined this moment 1,000 times, but now that it's happening, I don't know what to say. Me neither. You're beautiful. You look like your mother. I have your eyes, though. Everyone always said I had unusual eyes. Now I know where I got them. He smiled, and a tear rolled down his cheek. I'm sorry I wasn't there. I would have been if I'd known. I swear. I know. I read the letters. She kept them, hidden in the attic, along with everything else you sent. He closed his eyes and took a shaky breath. I stopped sending things because I thought she was throwing them away without even looking. I thought maybe if I gave her space, eventually she'd let me in. But she never did. She was stubborn and hurt and wrong. But that's on her, not you. We talked for 3 hours. He told me about his life, how he'd eventually become a civil engineer, married, had 2 more kids. My half-siblings. They don't replace you, he said quickly. I want you to know that. I told them about you as soon as I found you. They're excited to meet you if you want. I'd like that. He told me about the private investigator he'd hired, the dead ends, the moments he almost gave up. But I couldn't, he said. You were out there somewhere, and I couldn't stop until I found you. I told him about my childhood, my career, the life I'd built. Your mother did raise you well, he admitted. You're smart, kind, talented. I can't take credit for any of that. Maybe not, but you tried. That counts for something. Over the next few months, we built a relationship. It was awkward at first. How do you make up for 23 years and a few coffee dates? But slowly, we found our rhythm. I met his wife, Karen, who welcomed me with open arms. I met my half-siblings, Emma, who's 15, and Jake, who's 12. They were shy at first, but within an hour, Emma was showing me her art projects and Jake was teaching me his favorite video game. It felt surreal, like suddenly having this whole other family I never knew existed. My father invited me to family dinners, to Jake's soccer games, to Emma's school play. He never pushed, never demanded, just offered, again and again, to be part of my life. And slowly I let him in. My mother tried to reconcile. She called constantly, sent long emails apologizing, explaining, begging for forgiveness. I know I was wrong, she wrote. I know I hurt you, but please don't shut me out. You're my daughter. I love you. I didn't respond for weeks. Finally, I agreed to meet her for lunch. She looked terrible, like she hadn't slept in weeks. Her eyes were red and puffy. Thank you for coming, she said. I'm not here to forgive you, I told her.
Not yet.
Maybe not ever. I'm here because I need you to understand what you took from me. She nodded, tears already streaming. You took my father. You took 23 years we could have had together. You took my half-siblings, my extended family, my history. And you did it because you were angry, because your pride mattered more than my happiness. I know.
Do you?
Do you really understand what you did? Yes, she whispered. I see it now. I see how selfish I was. How cruel. I spent my whole life thinking my father was dead, grieving someone who was alive, carrying guilt for a tragedy that never happened. Do you know how that feels? She shook her head, sobbing. It feels like my whole childhood was built on a lie. Like everything you ever told me is suspect now. I'm so sorry, baby. I'm so sorry. I wanted to stay angry. Part of me wanted to cut her out of my life completely, the way she'd cut my father out. But I couldn't, because despite everything, she was still my mom. She'd still raised me, supported me, loved me in her broken, imperfect way. I need time, I told her. I need space to process this, to build a relationship with my dad without you interfering. Okay, whatever you need. And if we're going to have any kind of relationship going forward, it has to be based on honesty. No more lies. No more secrets. I promise. I swear. I don't know if I can trust that yet. Then I'll prove it, however long it takes. That was 3 months ago. Now, I see my father regularly. We're still figuring out our dynamic. He's not trying to be dad in the traditional sense, and I'm not trying to be his little girl. But we're building something real. Something honest. Karen is wonderful. She treats me like I've always been part of the family. My half-siblings are amazing. Emma and I text almost every day now. Jake taught me how to skateboard last weekend. I'm terrible, but it was fun. My mother and I are in therapy together, trying to work through the damage. Some days are better than others. She's slowly accepting that she can't undo what she did, that she has to live with the consequences. And I'm slowly accepting that people are complicated, that my mother can be both the woman who raised me with love and the woman who lied to me for decades. Both things are true. Last week, my father gave me something. We were having coffee, our usual Wednesday morning routine now, when he slid a small box across the table. What's this? Open it. Inside was the silver bracelet he'd sent for my first birthday. The one my mother had hidden away. I had it cleaned and resized, he said. If you want to wear it. I put it on immediately. It fit perfectly. Thank you, I said, my voice breaking. Thank you for giving me a chance, he replied. For letting me be part of your life. I know I can't get back the years we lost, but I'm grateful for every moment we have now. Me too. I still think about what my life could have been. If my mother had been honest from the beginning. If I'd grown up knowing my father. If I'd had both parents, 2 families, a fuller, richer childhood. But I can't change the past. All I can do is move forward. My father didn't die in a car accident 23 years ago.
He was alive the whole time.
And now, finally, we have the chance to know each other. It's not the story I thought I was living, but it's the truth. And the truth, no matter how painful, is always better than a lie.